take a look at the structure that you're expected to be able to draw and label. First of all, you need to identify the phospholipid bilayer, and notice that those phospholipids, each of them is made up of a hydrophobic or water-hating fatty acid tail and a hydrophilic or water-loving phosphate head. And so they orientate themselves so that the heads are pointing towards where the water is, in this case like the cytoplasm or the extracellular fluid, and the tails, they're pointing away. So that leaves like a water-free zone in between the two layers, the top layer and the bottom layer. The plasma membrane also has proteins in it, and these ones that I've shown here, these are integral proteins, but you can also have peripheral proteins. In addition to that, some of those proteins are channel proteins. If you add carbohydrates onto your phospholipids on the outside, you then start to call those glycolipids, and the same thing can be said if you add the carbohydrates onto a protein, that becomes a glycoprotein. The last thing that we have is cholesterol, and this is embedded in the water-free zone of the phospholipid bilayer. And finally, it's worth mentioning, there's often a mark for saying that the relative thickness of a plasma membrane is approximately 10 nanometers.
Passive transport. For a cell, passive transport means it's an automatic process that doesn't require any input of energy. For example, diffusion is a passive process in which particles move either into or out of the cell from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. The cell doesn't use any energy when this happens. The second category of cell transport is active transport. This is when particles move from an area of lower concentration to an area of higher concentration. When particles move against the concentration gradient, energy is required, often to allow protein pumps to assist in particle movement. Why would the cell need to move particles from a low to high concentration and expend energy to do it? An important example is seen in your heart muscle cells. In order for your heart to beat, there are certain molecules that have to move from an area of low concentration to an area of high concentration for those cardiac muscle cells to work. So the main things to remember are: passive transport happens automatically with no energy required, while active transport needs energy for it to occur.